Hello and welcome everyone back to yet another episode of Red Cape Sports. My name is Bird Bouchard. With me today is a very special guest. This guy is a hockey guru. I know that he's too humble. He's never going to admit it. But if you guys follow this guy, Mike DiStefano from TSN Radio, from NHL Locked On podcast, this guy knows it all. And if you're fortunate enough to have his personal digits, you're going to get some good picks live on the spot. So welcome to the show, Mike.
Thanks, man. Thanks so much for having me. And you don't have to have my digits. You know, we go back and forth all the time on stuff, not even just hockey, but in general. But if you listen to the Locked On NHL show, you and I both give our picks of the month and stuff. And they've turned out to be pretty good the last couple of months. So, shameless plug, go check out the Locked On NHL podcast where we do our investment show, hockey card investment show every single month. But on top of that, there's just so much that was going on. So we were like, hey, let's do something for Red Cape Sports. There's a lot of people talking about hockey cards right now. And you asked me if I wanted to do it. I said, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for whatever the case is, I mean, I can't complain too much. But finally, it seems like making hockey videos is starting to be, well received. So today, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but I believe, obviously you're going to be in the spotlight for this, but I believe you got your top 5 hockey cards, Young Guns specifically, under $10 still in the playoffs. And that sounds, it sounds a bit, almost unbelievable, but regardless, I feel like these are going to be some great flipping opportunities.
Yeah, if you would have done this video a little bit ago, right before the playoffs started, there would have been so many more names in the pile that we could have picked from, right? But because the playoffs are now underway, you got some guys going off. A lot of these players that at one point were under $10 have now exceeded that. You got a guy like Jonas Korpisalo, who you could have got for $2, $3 all day long back in like June, that now is going for $70. Like, it's actually insane, the prices of this dude's cards. And there's so many other guys. Pierre-Luc Dubois you could have got for $5. There was a lot of players, but there still are some guys out there. I did some scouring, and I took a look, and I found my 5 guys who are still in the playoffs, who have yet to go off, who I think are going to go off, and are going to be good investments, both for the short term and the long term.
Alrighty, man. I can't wait, and I know that the viewers can't wait. Many of them are still a bit new to hockey, but what a great video to start them off on. So the floor is yours.
All right, so let's start with number 5, and you and I have gone back with this player quite a bit over the last little bit, and it's Anthony Bevillier. You can get this card right now for under $5 still. You can. Like I saw yesterday, it was kind of there it is, Anthony Bevillier. You got one. Under $5, you can go out and get this kid. He's just 22 years old. He had 18 goals this season. He's got 7 points through 7 games so far in the playoffs. Plays in a top 6 role in New York. And he plays on the first power play unit. So all of those combined means that this guy's going to produce some offense. And at 22 years old, on a team that needs goal scoring, he's one of those guys who can provide that. He also provides a little bit of a bite too as well. I was actually surprised to see that this is a guy who's racked up 80 plus hits in the NHL each of his seasons, which doesn't really matter in terms of hockey card investing, but it does in a way where this is kind of interesting now, where I think that in a way that fantasy football has kind of led, and fantasy basketball has kind of led a big grow in sports. I think that a guy like Bevillier may start to get a little bit of an uptick within fantasy hockey because of those stat categories that he can fill. Or maybe somebody will be like, hey, I want his rookie card now, and that becomes more collectible, which makes the demand higher, which means it'll be more investable. And when you can get this guy for literally anywhere from $1 to $5, and that's shipping included, I think that's a good buy. You go pick him up. Plays in the top 6, currently in the playoffs, and up 3-0 on Washington, about to move on. Like, I think Bevillier is a good pickup there. He's my number 5.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I said, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I got it right here. Picked up some of these cards. I was fortunate enough to pick them up around $5-6 for the most part. That's just because of the shipping. But hey, at the end of the day, this is a young goal scorer. You take away Matt Barzal, and he's basically the next guy up. So great pick, cheap. Let's go to pick number 2.
All right, pick number 2 is another guy who I have his card right now. I've got a couple of them, and it's Teuvo Teravainen. You could pick
them up.
What's that?
To pick them up. I wanted to pick them up. I just couldn't pull the trigger.
Still pick them up. You could still pick them up for $4 or $5, dude. $4 or $5. He's 25 years old, so he still has some growth left in him. He had 76 points last season, 63 this year in a shortened year. Last year's playoffs, 7 goals, 10 points in 15 games. He's got 5 points so far in the 7 games this year. I believe that this Carolina team is going to be a contender for a long time, the way that they're built. And Teuvo Teravainen, outside of Aho and Svechnikov, he's the next guy when it comes to producing for this team. So you got your Aho's now up at around $40, Svechnikov's up at like $80. The fact that you can get Teravainen, who's maybe not as productive, but he's up there with them, certainly the third guy in the pecking order, you can get him for just $4 or $5. Like, you go ahead, you pick up Teuvo Teravainen, and I guarantee you will not be upset. When these guys go ahead and win a cup in the next 3 years, this card's going to go up to $25, $30. You'll be feeling good about your $5 investment. Guaranteed.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a guy who, like you said, right? I mean, you literally just said it. He's on a line with 2 of the better young premier hockey players. And honestly, I'm a big Carolina Hurricanes fan. Yeah, I mean, they knocked my Rangers out. Also gave us presumably Alex Lafreniere, but that's a young defensive-minded team, and they can put the puck in the net. So that's a great choice. Yeah.
We'll move on to number 3 here, and this is a player who I think flies under the radar a little bit. You could pick him up for $3 to $5, and that's Denis Gurianov, and I got a couple of Gurianovs as well. Just 23 years old, former first-round pick of the Dallas Stars, had 21 goals in the regular season this year. He has 2 so far in the playoffs, but he plays on the second line in Dallas, playing with Pavelski right now. He's up to 16, 17 minutes a game, which is a big bump from the 13 minutes that he's playing during the regular season, and that's something that I look at too. The fact that somebody only played about 13 minutes in the regular season and still scored 21 goals means that he's pretty efficient in the short time that he had out there on the ice. He plays on the second power play unit, and at 23 years old, I think he's a big factor into what Dallas wants to do going forward. I like Dallas as a team. I think Miro Heiskanen's a great defenseman. You know, John Klingberg's a pretty good player himself. Tyler Seguin is an elite talent. And then you look at what's going on in the wing position for Dallas. They're a little bit older with Radulov and Jamie Benn, and I think those guys right now, as they approach into their 30s, are going to start to tail off a little bit. And I think Radulov could get supplanted by Gurianov up on the top line. And then I think that dude's just going to pop off and go and become a 30 to 35 goal scorer on every given year. And to pick that up at $3 to $5 right now, absolute steal. I think that, he scored the other night as well. I think that Gurianov's a guy who's just so close to going off. He's not going to be a $3 to $5 card much longer. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, I can definitely guarantee that. I don't have the card around me now, but I did manage to snipe one up. The same deal. I think I paid $3.50, shipping included even. So again, guys, these are bargains / steals. Like if you can all afford to buy these cards, obviously still do your research, but like I said, this man's the guru. Everything he touches turns into gold. So
I wish that was true.
It's basically true with sports cards. So definitely listen to the man. If you didn't know what he was talking about, probably wouldn't be on the Red Cape Sports Show. So listen to him. Good point.
Let's move on to number 2. And this guy playing for the Boston Bruins is Jake DeBrusk. I thought I had a DeBrusk young gun. I guess I don't, and I should go and get one right now because he's still cheap. And I think that this is a player who could up his value in the short term. And Jake DeBrusk, he's got everything you want in terms of an investment, right? Plays on a good team, big market in Boston, and he scores goals. Those are 3 big keys when you're investing in hockey players, right? So I think Jake DeBrusk of the Bruins is a player that at $5, I am definitely looking to invest in this guy. Had 19 goals this season. Started off a little slow, but he picked it up about midway through the year. And he went on a little bit of a run through January and February. He had 14 points in 13 games. And if that's, the kind of player that he can be, I'm not saying he's going to be a point per game type player, but he's got it in him, and he's playing with David Krejci. So I think that, those two could probably do a little damage throughout his career. And he had 27 goals last year too as a 22-year-old. So, he can score. He had a little bit of a down year, but in the playoffs, he's averaging a goal in nearly every third game of his playoff career.
Not bad.
1 in every 3 games, he's scoring a goal in the playoffs. Scored 2 last night in that big comeback win for Boston. So Jake DeBrusk at $5, I like it a lot. Plays on the power play, which always helps when you're racking up points. So Jake DeBrusk at $5, I think that's a pretty good buy there.
Honestly, not a Bruins fan, but like I said, you don't need to like the player, you don't need to like the team, you need to like the investment. And I don't like that investment. I love that investment. Great choice. Great choice. Honestly, can't go wrong.
No, I think that's almost a no-brainer. But my next one is a complete no-brainer.
All right.
A number 1 pick for players who are still in the playoffs, yet to pop off, under $10, that I think could be a steal, and that's Robert Thomas. Robert Thomas of the St. Louis Blues.
Oh, Mitch is going to get a kick out of this video.
Why?
Mitch is going to get a kick out of this video.
Robert Thomas is young. He's 21 years old, playing for the reigning Cup champion St. Louis Blues.
Right.
He had 42 points in 66 games this season, but really started to pop off towards the end of the year before COVID came and put the stoppage. He had 15 points in the final 21 games before the stoppage. His ice time up from 16 to 18 minutes right before the pause. So he was being given a much larger role. And look, I think that this team has a chance to make another cup run. Like you saw them come back from an 0-2 deficit against Vancouver, which I hate, my beloved Vancouver Canucks, falling apart at the seams. But coming back from an 0-2 deficit and now tied with them, and you could just see that this is a team who now has got it going. It took them a little bit to find their legs here in the playoff bubble. They've got it going, and I really believe that Robert Thomas is a player who's yet to pop off, yet to explode. I think he's only got a couple of points here in the playoffs. He hasn't quite exploded yet, but outside of Ryan O'Reilly, that whole team hasn't really gotten going offensively. He's a guy who's struggling a little bit, but I truly believe that he will be a 60 to 75 point guy in the NHL on a year-to-year basis. And if you could pick that up for $8 to $10, especially a guy from St. Louis, pretty good market as well. I'd like that pickup a lot. So Robert Thomas, right now, that is my number 1 pickup that I'm picking up at under $10, currently still in the playoffs. Trust me, he'll be a bargain in no time.
Yeah, I mean, full disclaimer, this is a guy who Frank, also from Red Cape, Frank absolutely loves Robert Thomas. Every time I'd come into the store, he'd try to sell me a Robert Thomas Young Gun. And
what's he trying to sell it for?
I mean, he was selling it. This was start of the season when I believe Robert Thomas was even like $20-$30.
Yeah.
Right when he was more, because coming out of the coming out of the OHL, this kid was a stud. What wasn't he doing? His numbers were crazy. They're like Alex DeBrincat type of numbers with the Erie Otters. And I passed up on him. And maybe now, I mean, obviously he's still cheap, so maybe now's the time for me to pick him up. But that's kind of why I was chuckling, right? Because Mitch and I, we always go back and forth, and we say, in every sport, if there's one card to burn, which card would you burn? And at one point, just to make Frank upset, I said I would burn the Robert Thomas. So,
wow. Basically, you're lighting money on fire at that point.
Yeah, exactly, right?
What are you doing?
Honestly, it's just a running joke. It's the same thing with Alonzo Ball. But honestly, guys, that top 5, that's absolutely incredible. Like you said, even including Robert Thomas, this is a guy who I'll be the first to admit he can definitely pop off. He's a young, talented player on this reigning Stanley Cup champion. So can't go wrong with that. So Mike, thanks so much for doing this, man. I definitely appreciate it, and I know that the viewers appreciate it. Guys, show Mike some love. Smash the like button, leave him a comment, and I got a good feeling that we'll definitely see you more often on Red Cape Sports videos as well.
Yeah, hopefully so. I enjoyed doing it, and hopefully I'm right, and these guys kind of pop off, and the listeners and investors hopefully make some money.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Until next time.